I'm going to show you the tools that I use for refretting. I'll show them each individually and why I use them. This is a fret file that I use to file the frets all even, all the way across to get all the dents out, nicks out, whatever it is, get them all at the same height. And I made this one here. I got a file and it had an end on it and I cut it off. And I made sure that the file was nice and straight. I always look at it down here and I sight it down with my eyes to make sure that it's perfectly level. And then I get a piece of wood and I make sure it's perfectly level. And then I put them together and I glue them in, or I glue it onto the piece of wood. You use any kind of wood glue, aliphatic resin will work fine. And then just put a clamp on it and glue it down. 24 hours later, you got your file. I beveled it here so I can put my hand inside here and it's more comfortable this way. And of course you gotta know which way it's filing. You have to know that, so don't forget that. And I did the same thing here with a smaller one. So you can see I have a small little curve right here, and this one here is sharp or square. And it's a smaller file, and I did the same thing. I cut the little needle handle here, I cut it off. And I use this for cutting the frets on the side. Let's say that this was the fretboard and the frets are on here. Let's just pretend the frets are on this way. And so these ends that are sticking out over here on this side and that side, I use this to file them all the way across to get those ends down nice and flush. And for the other side, that's what this is for. I use these smaller files that you can purchase. I don't make these, I actually buy them. I have two different sizes. As you can see, one is bigger than the other. And they're like a cant saw file. If not, they are cant saws. But all the edges are smooth. On all it's triangular file. And the same thing with this one, it's triangular, but it's just smaller. And I use this here for the ends. If there's a fret over here, like let's say that this is a fret, I'm just gonna hold it with my finger. Then I use this guy here to file these corners so that they're nice and smooth. So when the fret is already filed level, let's say this was a fret and I use this here to file everything level, then what I do is I use this guy here to cut that small little edge there so that it's nice and round and it feels good. That's what these are for. And here's the hammer that I use to hammer them in. And one has a harder end to it and one has a softer end to it. One's obviously heavier because this is plastic and this is metal. This is brass, small hammer. It's got just the right weight. I don't want to use too big of a hammer to make damage. I just want to put the fret in so it hits, goes in. Anyway, that's what that is for. And then I have a knife here that I use. This is mainly for getting out the frets. When I begin to do it, what I do is I'll show it to you, but what I do is I put this knife underneath the corner. Let's say that my finger is the fret and it's laying across the fingerboard. I use this here to get underneath there, and then I hit it with a hammer over here on the right to get it up a little bit, and then the same thing on this side to get it up. Just enough so that I can start to grab the fret to get it off. And what I do use for that are these pliers here. They're cutters, but they're shaped at an angle, as you can see. And I like these here because what I can do with them, I can get the fret out without doing a whole lot of damage. And I have another one here. This one's slightly angled, as you can see, and it works well too. Sometimes I need this one here to start at the very beginning because it's sharper right here, and I can actually get right in at the very beginning and get that end up and start it. And it also, you can run it all the way through. So I use this to start it, and then I use this one here to finish it. Works very well. This one I bought online. It's meant for cutting frets. And when I get the fret wire all the way from one end to the other, and I have some sticking out at each end, I use this to cut. And you'll see as I do this what I use this for, but that's what that is for. And then I have the actual dressing of the frets, or to the shape of the fret. I don't use the ones that have the contour on the inside for that. I use this. This is my cant saw file. And it's a triangular file, as you can see, and you can get this, buy it at hardware stores, and they're sharp over here on the edge, and it's also sharp here in the middle. As you can see, it's like an isosceles triangle. So right here, this is the one that I file down. And it takes some work, but you can file this down nice and smooth so that it doesn't hurt your fingerboard when I'm on there doing the fret. And then that's where I actually use this here. Let's say that here's the fret, and I've already filed it all flat. Well, it's flat, so I have to cut this edge here and this edge here to start getting it to curve. So when I polish them out, they'll get a nice curve. That's what this is for. And so I use this here to do that. And then this part right here is what is on the fingerboard itself, and this is the fret. And I use this here to cut it. And I can see it, and I can do it with it. That's what this is for. I don't like using those files that are contoured on the inside, concave as they say. It just doesn't do enough for me. I never could get it to work the way I wanted it to. This one here, I can do any fret, the tallest and the smallest. So I'm going to get this table ready here and put the guitar on, and I'll tell you how and what we're going to start with, how I do it, and actually show you how I do it.